Hello. Today I will be mostly featuring the public test server, aka the PTS. Well, not mostly, only featuring it, and I will be checking out some new things that are going on. Most importantly, I've gotten access to a preview of the Kronshtadt. This is a sneak peek, meaning I'm actually not allowed to play it. I can only test it and only look at it in the port and, well, basically speculate. And generally, I won't be wasting too much time doing this because it's subject to change, so a lot of things that we're watching can significantly change. The things obvious about it is the fact that they're obviously going for the whole battlecruiser approach, because it is a cruiser, but it still has 305mm cannons, well, with 17.6 second reload if you go for the full reload build. The dispersion is not cruiser dispersion though, it's battleship dispersion, which means yes, battlecruiser, some sort of hybrid. The armor, however, the hit points 60k, kind of support that. The armor, however, does not. We're talking 25mm armor pretty much everywhere. Bow, stern, even the deck and the upper belt is 25. And the problem with 25 is, of course, that every battleship will overmatch it, every cruiser will pen it with HE. So, in terms of survivability, the ship has almost none when it comes to tanking. I mean, you can angle your citadel, sure, but if you get broadside in this thing, the citadel on this ship is absolutely massive. This all here is citadel, and it extends all the way past the back turret, all the way to the front, in front of the front turret. So this thing is basically one massive citadel. So not going to be nearly as tanky as the Scharnhorst based on this armor scheme alone, since that's one of the few things think they will actually be too actively changing. But overall though, I'm not going to be speculating too much on what they're going to change. It does not have access to radar, it has spotter plane, defensive AA, you can slot Hydra as well of course, and it does have a heal, which seems to be fairly strong. I think this might be... This is battleship heal, it looks like. Apparently the Kronshtadt also heals 33% of citadel damage, unlike battleships that heal 10%. So very much like a hybrid between... I think the heal is just the default heal, by the way. When I say battleship heal, I just pretty much mean the default heal. Nothing special about it. And speculating any further than this, based on these values like dispersion or reload and things like this, is a bit silly. I mean, maneuverability we can talk about. The maneuverability is garbage. Moskva, well, if you slot actually a rudder shift module on it, to give you an idea, Moskva has a rudder shift of 8.7, the Kronshtadt has 11.9, so handles much worse than your average cruiser as well. But once again, I don't feel like speculating too much on the stats. I'm showing you guys the stats so you can make your own conclusions, but any sort of speculation is pointless because, well, of course the numbers and values are going to change, and I never played it, so I can't really draw any conclusions as of right now. But it's an interesting ship, and so far it looks like a squishy cruiser with a shit ton of firepower and a lot of health and stealth. How strong it will be, I haven't played it, can't tell you. The other thing worth mentioning is, of course, well, the background, the port itself. As you can see, we are quite clearly in space, and that's because this is the upcoming April's Fool's space event. Well, space battles event, in fact. You can see space warships. I assume, yeah, April's Fool's makes sense. If we switch here, we can actually see some of these ships. This is the Flyfire, which is essentially a space gearing, and this is something I have to give a lot of props to whoever created these things. A lot of effort has been put into this, and some of these ships just look amazing. Galaxy, which is basically a Des Moines. And then we have All Destroyer, which is a Große Kurfürst, which actually looks pretty goddamn amazing. I will show you some of the action, these ships in battle, as well as some of my gripes with this current thing. And the Helicarrier, which also looks absolutely amazing, including the planes, individually detailed as well. Very futuristic, very spacey. A lot of detail, a lot of work been put into this mode, and, well, it clearly shows. I give them a 10 out of 10 on the art and the idea. However, when we actually get into battle, there are a fair amount of issues in the battles as of right now. Well, they're not final, so they still have some time to change. Before I move to battle, I can also show you the containers. These are some sort of space containers. Oh, but where am I getting? What are these? These are just normal containers. Let me get them out of the way. If only you could select to open what containers you have. Sadly, you cannot. I assume this is just something given for playing on the PTS. Play X amount of games on the PTS, and they give you to the... Yeah, and of course we can show off the torpedo dude, who's hanging upside down these days. Well, considering it's probably artificial gravity. These new containers, I assume these are the space battle focused ones. You get some sort of distinctive insignias from them, and you get a lot of sci-fi camos in general, like these things. Yeah, these are space warships, so people who take part actually get something permanent they can use in the normal battles as well, in the form of insignias. So that's probably going to be one of the draws for people. The actual game mode, though, as I mentioned, the actual game mode does have some significant issues as of now, and well, they probably highlighted a bit more by the fact that right now on PTS you can't actually play anything but these 4 ships. There are more ships on the way. In fact, if you hover over the upcoming ships, we can see the Zaya, which is probably the Zhao. We got Paris, which is probably the France, and so forth. So we got additional ships. Aurora, probably Moskva, I don't know. But we got a lot of ships added to this, which will probably make it a bit more diverse. But as of right now, I cannot say it's a very enjoyable experience. The only map that I've actually experienced in this mode is so far a modified hotspot, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because hotspot isn't that bad of a map. And it might fit, and honestly we don't really need that many maps for this kind of fun mode. One well-designed map would be perfectly fine. In this case I'm playing the gearing, and once again all the the art details, the individual animations, all these things, even the sound is something I quite enjoy. I like the way the world looks, I like the way the ships look, I like the individual looks of all these ships and so forth. There are some issues though. For example, the torpedoes are very tricky to spot in this game mode. The issue is that you're used to spotting torpedoes. Basically there's this small red dot and there's this wake of white behind it, basically water foaming behind the torpedo, which is quite easy to spot in the game itself. However, in this mode with all the background stuff going on, it's pretty damn hard to do that. There's also other issues, like it's pretty tricky to sometimes hit ships. Like this gearing, for example, I think I'm aiming ahead of him, I think I'm aiming where he's going, but I'm actually not hitting a single shell because I am leading too much. And that's because you can see the bottom part of the ship as well. So you're automatically not aiming correctly the way you should, because you're not aiming at the waterline, but you're actually aiming below the waterline because of how much you can see. Now that's something, of course, getting used to will help if you play this game mode more, but it does initially feel very disconnected. There's also, of course, the fact that you are playing these ships as if they still have real world physics. That includes, of course, well, shells falling off and shells losing velocity in the air and gravity pulling the shells down. All of these things that don't really make any sense. That's, by the way, a firestorm that I just entered, or meteor shower. There's 2 different storms. There's an electrical storm and fire and meteor shower with different effects and different visuals. Once again, I really enjoy the visuals. However, I feel like this entire thing feels like such a massive missed opportunity. First of all, the fact that, well, the only ships available in this mode as of now is Des Moines, Gearing, Hakuryu and Kurfürst in their futuristic modes. That's already a bit of a downside because, well, playing Gearing and playing Hakuryu when the only cruiser available and the most played ship is a Des Moines is not a very enjoyable experience. Constant radars, massive AA. Not exactly, that already makes 2 classes that are significantly less enjoyable. Then again, on certain backgrounds, the gearing is very strong. In fact, if you look at the left of the screen there, you see how you can see that glowing rock or glowing planet underneath the transparent background. When torps cross areas like that, you lose track of them so easily. Because, well, you see a red dot on a bright red background. You completely lose track of them, you lose vision of them, and it can be extremely distracting. But those are small visual issues. What really bothers me is the fact that Wargaming had made this completely new models, completely new sounds, this amazing map, all these details, all these things, and then they cloned the ships. Like, they cloned every characteristic of the ship. The Grosse Kurfürst is the same thing, hydro heal, same guns, secondaries, everything is exactly the same. Des Moines exactly the same, Gearing exactly the same, Hakuryu exactly the same. Why would you make such an amazing game mode, like have such an amazing opportunity available, and then you just copy World Warships? Why? Well, like, I don't understand. Why can't we have something really special going here? Why can't, like, the Grosse Kurfürst I don't know, maybe have a super heal but really short range, so you want to push in and brawl with it a lot? Why can't the gearing be twice as fast as normal? And like Des Moines, instead of having those silly shell arcs, which once again don't make any sense in space, but for gameplay purposes alone, why not give them railguns? Why can't the Des Moines have railguns? Maybe less damage to balance them or whatever, but something unique, something special. Right now, it's literally a reskinned World of Warships. It has nothing unique going for it. No unique characteristics besides the visuals. If you strip away the visuals, everything is exactly as the normal game. Why? You already made this alternate reality, alternate futuristic universe. You have all the artistic freedom in the world to do whatever the hell you want. You can make any sort of experience, any sort of planet, world, whatever universe, and you choose to copy paste exactly the same stats? Why? I can't help, it just feels like such a missed opportunity of making like this game, this mode, a new, fresh experience, something that people haven't experienced before, something completely new. They could even try some like new ideas they're planning, they could just throw them into the mix, see how it works. Like, it would be fun, but it's just a reskinned World of Warships. It's a very pretty reskin, but it's just a reskin.